Welcome to Mike's Camera Action, the podcast where magic meets reality. As always, I'm your host, Carl, and joining me, as always, is my co-host, Alex.
Howdy.
And this week we've got another guest, Jackson.
Hey guys.
Nice to see you, Jackson.
Thanks.
So Jackson, you picked out the movie this week, so it's something special because it's the first time neither Alex nor I have picked one, and it's the beginning of, for the most part, now we're going on to guests' picks. So Jackson, why don't you introduce and tell us about this movie?
Okay, so I had picked a recent film made in 2016, a movie known as Kimi No Na Wa, or Your Name by Makoto Shinkai, an animated film in Japan.
Yep.
Very popular movie right now. It easily beat out all previous animated films.
Oh, really?
Yep, it's the fourth highest grossing film in Japan of all time.
Oh my god.
Eighth highest grossing animated film of all time.
Wow.
19th highest grossing non-English film worldwide, and made $355 million in the box office.
So what you're saying is you picked out something mainstream for us, Jackson.
Yeah, you don't want to go into the deep stuff.
What deep stuff? Jackson, tell me more about this deep stuff.
This Japanese
going down
deep
there.
stuff.
We all know Japan's weird. Every
my.
listener will know that. Very, very popular film. It's currently second ranked on my anime list. For any listener who doesn't know, that's similar to IMDb.
But for the anime,
For
right?
the animus.
The anime IMDb.
And Makoto Shinkai is an extremely well-known director in Japan for animated films. His two other films I can think of are 5 centimeters per second. Interesting name. But it's ranked...
Okay.
It's well received. It's ranked like 600-ish in my anime list. And the other one is Garden of Words, which is much more popular. It's 270.
Okay.
Those are both I'd say one of his previous biggest films.
Yep.
Nothing like Your Name. That one blew up.
Okay.
I get why, though, that film is.
I'm glad you introduced us to this because it was real. I really enjoyed. I went into this having no idea what to get out of it, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I was the same. Like, I was like, all right, this is an anime film. I have like a lot of experience like with shonen type of stuff, considering that's what I grew up with, like watching Pokemon and Dragon Ball Z.
We all pretty much grew up with shonen.
Yu-Gi-Oh,
Yeah.
Naruto, Naruto Shippuden, like that sort of stuff. And so, see, I know I'm not really into like the depth of the anime sort of stuff here. And so like I watched this and I'm like, I don't know what to get out of this. And then the end, like I was halfway to crying.
Yeah.
Because the ending just got me. That ending though, it's still like, it's a powerful like.
It's a strong message.
I liked it that it had two endings, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you had there were multiple bits where I felt like if it ended here, I wouldn't be upset.
I was almost expecting it to end when they showed the meteor crater.
Yeah.
I was like, is that it? Like,
Yeah.
Sure enough, that's not very far into it, but I was like, oh my god, is this the movie?
They could
Oh
have
my
been
god.
like when he woke up on the mountain, goes home,
Yeah.
done. You could have done there.
Oh, that
Yeah.
would've
That would have
destroyed
killed me, but
Because
I
he was
would've
like,
felt so sad.
why am I here?
yeah.
It's like,
Oh,
who
that would be
was
so
I trying to meet? And I was like,
crushing.
what the hell, man?
It's like, oh.
My favorite part about watching this with you guys, though, was when the meteor was revealed, like the hit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was huge, dude.
Because I remember him being. I remember I was watching it and he was like, the meteor will be at its brightest tonight, and he's like looking up, going, what?
What comet? Like at the end of when the date's over, you'll be able to see the meteor in the sky. And he's like, he looks up and goes, "What comet?"
Yeah,
What
and
was he
that's
talking
when it's like, wait a minute, what's going on here? So he tries to call it, but no one picks up.
Yeah, and then he just says, "That was the last time we ever switched."
But like, what did you think like when you first saw it? Were you like going through similar stuff to us?
Oh, yeah. It was very much similar emotional reactions. Like, I went through the shock when the big climax came through and the meteor. I went through the whole emotional ending. Exact same feelings went through me. It's quite the experience, this movie.
I haven't had a film like actually like elicit that much of an emotional response to me in a while.
No.
Like a lot of the times it's like you've been like, this is sad, you know, but like this actively got me. Like, especially considering I wasn't watching it like in a cinema.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, like because a
Watching
lot
in my
of
bedroom.
Yeah, you're watching it in the spare bedroom.
yeah, considering a lot of the times like you know the cinema setting like enhances like the effect of film. I've always found so like watching it in like your Jackson's bedroom was like I was like all right, but no, it got to me.
From now on, Alex will only ever watch movies in your bedroom, Jackson.
No,
so
I
be
wouldn't.
thankful.
So are you doing anything later tonight?
Go away.
Hey, I'm thinking about watching Hereditary. Do you think you can spare your bedroom for a little bit?
No one else is there. It's just me
Just
crying.
me. Just me going, oh man, this experience is so
I'm gonna
creepy.
go like eat some food. He's just gonna be in the middle of my room.
Yeah, he's gonna chill out. Yeah.
What about you guys? I wanted to ask you, what was probably like one of your favorite points of this movie?
For me, I think the most impactful moment was definitely the reveal of, how was it? Yeah, Itomori is just a crater.
Yeah.
Like when he's trying to track down this place and thinking like, okay, where is this woman? Where has she been? And he's drawing pictures of what he remembers from having swapped into her body. He's trying to like picture like, okay, do you know this mountain range? Do you know this? And hunting through these Japanese provinces. And then that reveal of like this ramen, just in like some boondocks ramen place. The guy goes, "Oh yeah, I used to live there. That's Itomori." And then so he comes to this place, he finds it, and it's just a fenced off area with a big crater where there was a city.
Yeah, there's like
that's definitely the moment that hit for me.
the whole thing was that they had like this crater lake, but now they have two.
Yeah, it was just here's the lake, and then here's the second lake.
Yeah.
Where a comet hit. Yeah.
But yeah, I like how they sort of like they hinted that it happened before.
Yeah. Like her grandmother had it happen before.
Because they talk about how the comet comes once every like 1,200 years.
Yeah.
And the grandmother was like, oh, what's their last name?
I can never remember that.
I can't remember, but the family had been there for like 1,000 years, watching over the area, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Keeping traditions alive, sort of thing. So it's like they were there when the last asteroid hit, and that's why like towards the climax, Mitsuha's grandma's like, oh, similar thing happened to me, and Mitsuha's like, maybe this is why, because of the comet.
Yeah,
it's the Miyamizu family.
Miyamizu, yeah. But yeah, like the whole it's like shown, like, and then like later, the dad references that the mother did the same.
Yeah,
it's like all the Miyamizus have gone through this.
Yeah, something like all the women have gone through like a weird body swapping stage, apparently.
Yeah.
That's like their family equivalent of puberty.
Yeah, and it's like they sort of like
Taki
they all
has
just...
no equivalent. Taki is like, no, we don't touch his family structure at all.
He's got a dad.
He's got a dad who just tells him, hey kid, by the way, if you at least show up to school if you're going to be late. That's it. That's our one experience with Taki's family.
But like the whole thing about like the fact that like they all just pass it off as dreams.
Yeah.
Because it goes on about the whole idea that like when you're dreaming, once you wake up, it goes. Like reality is not the same after your dream.
Yeah.
And I really loved that. They started writing notes to each other because of because that was the only way they'd remember.
Yeah.
And I found that like really beautiful and like not something I would bother doing if I was like swapping bodies with someone. I probably would be like, all right, I'm a girl now. I don't know where I'm going to school.
That was the thing I brought up while we were watching this. I'm like, if I was body swapped with someone, like if I'm a high school student, I'm high school Carl, and I'm body swapped with some other high school women. At that point, I would just stop what I'm doing, sit in my room, and not leave, not contact anyone, because I don't want to ruin that person's life. It's one thing to show up to school. It's another to have like all the conversations with people that person knows, and they're like, what is the deal with this person?
Yeah.
Why is she so weird? And I would hope that woman that swaps into my body would do the same for me.
The issue with that, though, is definitely a cultural thing. The Japanese are very much, you wake up, you do what you have to do, you go home, and that's deep-rooted in their society. You have to do your work.
Japan's a country where if the train's, 10 seconds late, then it's a big problem.
Yeah. Granted, they have a lot of
contrast
trains.
that with here, and contrast that with this country, where it's just, the train didn't show up at all today. Meh, that happens.
Yeah. Mitsuha's town in the middle of nowhere has a train every 2 hours.
Yeah, a town
at the same time, it's
nowhere.
every 2 hours.
Yeah, but have you been to some of the rural Victorians city?
Yeah,
I
that's
get
like
that.
once a day.
But Japan's also very Japan has a lot of trains. But
we're talking about cultural differences here.
I know, yeah. But still, a train every 2 hours seems crazy to me.
Like, the other thing that got me was that, one, they found the schools, and two, part of me wished I understood Japanese while watching this film.
A little bit.
Because, there was a lot of translator notes. There was a few translator notes. Yeah. Especially when they first switch, when Mitsuha in Taki's body uses the feminine, sort of I, or...
Yeah, so, like Ji would say, in Japan, when you're referring to yourself yourself, you don't say I. There's a male and female one, and
Yeah.
a woman will say either watashi or boku.
Yep.
Usually when referring to themselves, where men will say ore,
Yep.
and that doesn't translate at all into English.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all just
Yeah,
I.
for us it's just I, whether you're male, female, or whatever. It's just
And
I.
and a lot of like
me.
romantic languages, it sort of is like Europeans. It's just I.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You gender stuff like Spanish, everything has a gender, and so does like French and Italian. But like other than that, it's I.
Yeah, very early on, there's a couple of notes of there's a few pieces of language in there where they talk about like they're in Itomori they've got that language class where they're talking about like different dialects and provinces,
Yeah.
and that's part of what made Mitsuha and Taki's body so strange. Is she was talking with one of those dialects.
Yeah. But
So
the
people-
equivalent of like a redneck talking
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
someone who's lived in the city the entire time.
Yeah.
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 Taki's friends kind of point out like that's a bit strange for you to be using that language. Like that's a bit sort of like that's Boondocks talk basically.
It's like if you're like I swapped my body with a New Zealander and I started referring to things as like thongs and eskies rather than jandals and chili bins.
Jandals and chili bins.
Yeah, it's like Dungeons and Dragons.
Chili bin.
Well, that's what they call them.
Is
the
that
chili
an
bins.
actual thing?
That's the thing, yeah.
That's so I've never heard that before. That's so weird.
Yeah.
Chili bin.
Yeah, and so like, it's one of the language differences. Like we call them eskies, Americans call them callers.
Yeah.
England just calls them the thing outside.
The thing outside.
I don't know what the
The
English
thing
call
that's
them.
already cold enough, I don't need this.
Yeah. But like, it's just one of those differences in different locations. You call it different things. It's like the Parma-Palmy debate.
Parma palmy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like if I go to a restaurant, I ask for a chicken Parma. Anyone tells it's a Palmy can sod off. But yeah. Did you have any complaints about the movie? Like,
I know you had a few points to bring up,
Yeah.
Jackson.
Watching this movie twice now, there is only really 2 complaints I can
Yeah?
pull off. One, the start is very slow.
oh yeah.
I can get that.
Watching it for a second time, you start to realize that it is a bit of a slow start, but that is more akin to what a Makoto Shinkai film is.
Yeah.
The first half of the movie before the meteor hits, that is his films. They're usually a fantasy-esque, partial romance kind of thing. Usually much more romance than his previous films.
I honestly didn't mind it because it was like it explored the characters a bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It flushed them out. It
Yeah.
it can't start off with the meteor hitting.
No, of course.
It's got to be.
Although it did start with the meteor.
It did start with the meteor, but didn't start with like
Yeah.
apocalyptic event of a meteor
Oh, yeah.
exploding into the Japanese countryside. It was just it's a very slow burn that introduces these characters and lets us see their lives for a little bit and get to know them and get to really like these characters before they obliterate one off the face of the earth.
I did love that, the characterization, though. They made the characters just very human and lovable.
Yeah.
Very
I like
invested
both of
in them.
them.
They
Yeah.
were great characters. One other thing I got to mention, and this is just an anime complaint as well, is that right, the 2 times throughout the movie they were just panty shots. That's just a normal anime thing. First one I
Yeah.
didn't even notice though because Alex pointed it out to me.
Is it weird that I didn't
see it.
pick up on any of them?
No,
Like I didn't.
because you're not.
I don't know. I mightn't have just noticed. I wasn't looking for it because I'm not a creep.
Yeah.
But Alex pointed them out every time.
No, he didn't miss the next one. The next one's what annoyed me.
Yep.
The next one happened in the middle of the giant climax of the movie.
Yeah.
And it was just kind of thrown in there. It wasn't it wasn't brought to attention, but it was there. And I noticed it for that second. And I was like, it brought me a bit out of this climax. And I was like, oh,
Jackson, you're my resident expert on Japanese media.
yeah.
Is there a like thing to do with panty shots in anime?
Yeah. It's
What's the reasoning behind that?
perverts.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's just it.
It's just that they want to throw in fan service for men watching.
I mean,
the
really?
thing.
But like the whole thing is one Mitsuha's like 17.
That too. That in
Marriable
Japan,
age.
that is, yep. In Japan, with anime and that anything above 16 is usually considered okay.
Fair game.
Yeah.
It's still in our culture that is still quite a bit off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
But like the other thing about that is, I think part of that's like earlier in the sequences, Sakuya, is that Mitsuha's friend?
Sayaka.
Sayaka tells off Taki because she's like, be mindful you're wearing a skirt.
Yeah.
So like I feel like that plays a little bit into it, especially
Power
on
play.
the bike. Because he's the one riding the bike, so he's
Yeah.
riding it like he would ride a bike, which is like half standing up, like it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
That's funny though. That's a really good like jib at like the differences of these two mentalities though.
Yeah.
I really like that.
Like, cause she's just like, cause like when he's Mitsuha, he's just like spread legs open, and she's like, no.
Be mindful, you're wearing a skirt.
He was
Emma.
aggressive, like that Japanese girls are supposed to be quiet, sit down. Be
And he got a love
quiet.
letter.
Yeah, and then Taki though. Also, there's one point when Mitsuha was being like talked about bad. He just got up, kicked the table over, and was like, "No," sits down.
Yeah, I really like that. Like I like how they started doing stuff for each other, really, but also hated each other when they were doing it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Stop wasting my money. Stop
Taking more
talking
shifts. I don't like doing your job. Well, then stop spending my money. I need it, so I have to do my job.
Yeah, I just love that, and also like him getting a date with the head. I think she might have been like the head waitress at the restaurant where Taki worked.
Okudera.
Thank you.
If I were Mitsuha, I'd be pretty bummed about not being able to go on that date too.
Yeah,
Because it's like she put in all of the legwork and Taki just got to go on the date. That sucks.
But I think she was more upset that she couldn't. I don't know. That got me confused as to whether or not she wanted to go on the date with Taki or the Okudera.
That's true.
Like,
It was more Taki, I'd
Yeah,
say. But
I'd
also,
say-
she also just wanted to live
yeah,
a different life. That was a big part of her
Yeah.
character. She wanted to live a different life.
Yeah. Yeah, she wasn't happy. She didn't like living in like this small town that's with this very traditional lifestyle, and so she was thrilled every time she got to be in Tokyo, which is a big thing.
Being a Shinto shrine maiden, though, that's like a full-time job.
Yeah.
And she has to do school, then comes home, does all the shrine maiden stuff. That would wear anyone out. She has to like get up and dance. She has to like do. Most Shinto shrines also even have stores and things like that. They have to run those.
Wow.
Yeah, so
I think it's one of those ones where like their shrine. I think they were talking about is only with them. Like,
run to the family.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, no, it belongs to the family. That's why they were talking about the dad being adopted into the family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like, what I mean is that like, unlike it's not like a big Shinto shrine, and a lot of people it seemed in the village were like a bit more sort of indifferent to the whole idea of Shintoism. Like, I get what you mean. Like, Shinto shrines are like full-time jobs, but maybe wasn't quite so intense, considering you've also got grandma.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was more. I think the whole thing with the Shinto shrine was more just keeping tradition. I don't know.
No, it definitely feeds into that of you've got Taki leading a very sort of modernized, like a very modernized city lifestyle, and then contrast that with her where she's in Itamori, which is this tiny town in the middle of nowhere. They've got no cafes. They've got none of this. All they have is a vending machine. Conveniently, the only thing they have in their town is 2 pubs.
Yeah.
Right next door to each other.
Competition.
What is it, like the beach argument of like you can have if you can space out your stores as far away from each other as possible, like as conveniently as possible from each other to service an equal amount, or you can just put them right next to each other and get half and half.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing that got me is like you're right. They really did contrast,
Like
which I found
the two couldn't be more different from each other.
Yeah, and I found it interesting that like earlier in the film you had Mitsuha wanting to like live the modern life.
Yeah.
She wanted to be in Tokyo, but later when Taki's looking for jobs and stuff, like well after the body switching and stuff is finished, he's all about wanting nostalgia. He's
Yeah.
all about wanting that old-fashioned landscape sort of stuff.
Yeah, he's talking about like doing landscaping, and he's got a lot of I think a lot of like the stuff he was showing off was still like the drawings he was doing was still very much like the stuff he was doing for Itamori.
Yeah.
Where he's drawing a lot of landscape stuff and very old traditional looking buildings.
Yeah, I feel like he wanted like landscapes that would survive people. Like
Yeah.
he wanted landscapes that people could look back on and remember. Which I agree with. It's like just personally, I'm like I like this idea.
The differences just were made really for gags as well.
Yeah, yeah.
The gags were funny. The boob gag.
How many times did they pull out the boob?
I think at least
milk the boob.
It was
gag?
4, I believe.
Yeah.
It was 4 times. They did the first one because body transfer. What am I?
Oh, I'm a woman now.
So I must touch my boobs.
First thing you do.
Second
naturally.
time. Oh, then the sister always walked in.
Yeah,
That was
every
funny.
time.
Second time happens where at that point we're like, here it opens again. Next time he's like, I shouldn't do it. So she's happy. sister opens the door, he's doing it.
Yeah, because it's listed in a note which is, please stop touching my boobs.
Yeah.
It was one time.
But still,
I swear.
My favorite one, and we all laughed at this, was when he finally gets back into her body after all this time, like he couldn't be, and he's just sad. He hugs her first, and then it just cuts to door opening. He's crying, bawling his eyes out, snot running down his face, still grabbing boobs, and the sister's just there. And then he crawls over to her like, "Oh, I miss you," and then she just slams the door and leaves.
Yep. Such a good gag.
I'd say this is one of the few anime that actually pull off a good boob gag.
I think it's one of the few
boob gag.
films that I've seen that does it.
Yeah. It's hard to pull that off.
Yeah, the whole film is just full of like these slight things that all tie together. Like earlier, you have Tessie's dad being like, "Hey, we're going to work till weekend. You're working with us on the weekend. I'm going to show you how to use explosives."
Yeah, because his dad's in construction. Or
Yeah,
something
his dad's
like
the
that, right?
construction worker.
Yeah.
And then I think his dad also like works with the mayor. Like
He's the actual he
would.
runs all the construction for the entire town.
Yeah.
He's the city planner.
That
basically.
makes sense.
Because I remember that someone comments on the fact that Tessie and Mitsuharu are friends.
Yeah.
But like, and then later when they're committing their acts of domestic terrorism,
Blatantly domestic terrorism.
Yeah,
Blowing
and
up a power station.
blowing up a power station and hijacking the local
Yeah.
like radio network, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, he uses the gel ignite to do it. It's like, yeah, we got bombs there.
Yeah, I know how to use explosives. I do love the comment of like, should those be going off soon? No idea. He's just like, I think I set a timer.
Shows that he doesn't really know how.
He's
to use
used them a couple of times, maybe.
Yeah.
He's hoping for the best. Probably used a bit too much. That kind of stuff.
So like, there's all these details, and the details like helped by the animation.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
dear God, I remember
it's so pretty.
they're all in this like one room, which like all this electronic gear, and I kept like pointing out like different gaming consoles.
Yeah,
like there was a
nursing the Super
PlayStation
Nintendo,
1, there was a
PS1,
Super Nintendo,
GameCube.
which I didn't recognize for a second.
The little orange Game Boy or GameCube.
Yeah, there was an orange
Orange
GameCube,
GameCube.
which is super uncommon.
Yeah.
and I was like, what? That was the thing that got me the most, was that it was the orange GameCube.
There's a lot of attention to animation in all Shinkai films, I will say. I wouldn't say this is the next step in his animation. It's still very much his animation. This is what he does. But but comparing it to all animation previously, I'm not gonna say all, but like a lot of animation, he is a much farther step above.
As far as the animation in this movie goes, it's really impressive. Some like the quality and some of the shots in this look so pretty. And there's a couple of things that just really impress me, where not only have they got these large sweeping tracking shots, but you've also got things like rotation.
Yeah.
So the idea of like an animated, like a 2D animated movie having this like panning shot of a room, and you've got that element of movement and rotation in it, so you've got multiple perspective changes in that one shot, is crazy.
And the amount of times they like changed the focus.
Yeah, focus shifting as well. That's something I haven't seen much in an animated movie.
Like I was watching, like being like, I can barely focus shift when I'm using a camera,
No.
let alone
in 2D
in an
animation.
animated film. Like, and it looked natural.
And it worked. It's the shot choices in this movie make it look like an actual cinematic piece.
Yeah.
Only they've just like cut like it's shot like it's a movie, but it's animated, which
Yeah.
is something that really is very impressive.
The
It's
only
something you
thing
don't
that
see.
I can think of that wasn't completely was when Taki as Mitsuha grabs a mirror.
Yeah.
The camera is the mirror,
Yeah.
and like you see the fingerprint,
Yeah.
and that sort of was like, all right, that's a bit more like cartoonish.
Yeah.
Than I would say like in a regular film, because like normally you avoid touching the camera.
Yeah.
But yeah, I still liked it. It was still like really good.
That was really and there was a lot of like Jackson. I know was talking about when Jackson was trying to sell me on this movie. He was talking about like a lot of the detailing animation, where he's talking about like the opening sequence when you see someone chopping a tomato in this cooking scene.
Still love it. Just a tomato being cut with such accuracy to the point where in every anime, if you have a cooking anime, they do the thing where they just grab onions or lettuce and just go machine gun.
Yeah.
Like they just chop it into pieces. This one's just a simple cut. Cuts a tomato in half, and you see the little squish as if it's a real fleshy tomato, falls to the side, and you can see all the little
It's a little bit
detail.
glistening. It
Exactly.
glistens a little bit. There's like
I was just annoyed about the people cutting onions while we were watching it. Like those things.
Damn, those onion cutters in Jackson's bedroom.
Yeah, like they got to me.
I need to get my onions, guys.
But yeah, like you're right. There was like so much detail, and like when they cut back, like you had the little seeds in the tomato.
And that's like less than a 1 second of shot. But there's so many phases of it where you've got like the knife coming down to it, then like the tomato squishing in a little bit, and then cutting through, then it falls to sides. And that's something you just don't see that kind of attention to detail. It's just like you could make that a quick chop done and gone.
This cut directly to an egg as well, being broken, poured straight into a pan, and you see it drip into the pan and then over into the cracks of the other eggs and into the crevices.
Yeah.
This is what the detail in this movie is just that.
You're
they like
making
to
me
add
hungry,
little
dog.
ones.
It doesn't have the detail of my cooking sequence, which is trying to fish out the eggshell that I've actually dropped.
Yeah.
Call inaccuracy on that.
Literally unwatchable. But yeah, like there was so much detail, and like it got to me, and like it didn't. Like the water sparkled, especially during the twilight period when they're in the
Even the
caldera
rain
of the
looked good.
mountain.
Yeah.
Like, and they're just standing on the ledge, and it's like you see like the light as it's setting, and it's just sparkling, and it's like, oh no, oh no.
There's also, and there's a few really good, just great cinematic shots of when the two are by not a shrine, but when the two actually meet each other, and you can see them in different time periods. Where when Taki's running alongside this crater, you can see this second lake in the background, like this crater. Then it cuts back to Mitsuha, and it's just the town. Like there's a great point where it just cuts right between those two, and it's the same shot, but just with different people, and you go, oh my god, like.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's impressive.
They're
And
both
it's a
there
great shot.
trying to like meet each other almost, but they can't quite.
And that bastard Taki has to not write his name.
Yeah, why didn't Taki write his name? I hate
You
it.
Because he loved her.
But it got to me just because she couldn't remember him at least.
All she knows is some guy loves her.
Like
That's what we got.
Yeah.
just write Taki, and then it's like she'll remember you. But no, you have to both forget each other.
That was the point, though, of the entire movie, though,
Yeah.
that they're living a dream.
Yeah.
that they had to forget, and
Yeah.
it ties heavily into Japan having the idea of the red string of fate.
Yeah.
Where they even showed the red string at one point
yeah.
in the movie.
They straight up showed that Mitsuha wears this red braid around it, on her hair to symbolize the same thing. Taki has the one on his wrist,
Which is the one that Mitsuha wears
which
in
is
her
the one.
hair.
Yeah. So they're like destined to be together.
Yeah.
And this whole dream sequence is just there to like.
oh.
It's the way of doing so.
When also there's the whole thing when Taki drinks the sake.
Spit sake.
Yeah.
Someone get the name for that.
I think it's like Kuchikama sake.
It's a big name.
That sounds about right, actually.
And it's like he's got the red string like tied around
Yeah.
his wrist that's just attached to
Kuchi Kamizaki.
Yeah, so I was right.
Yeah, good job.
So like it's attached to his wrist and like and it attaches him to Mitsuha.
Yeah,
And so like he's just falling and it's just that wild dream sequence, which I found was beautiful.
it's really pretty.
Like it was like interesting to see an animated dream sequence. Like it's always interesting to see how they do them because like different animated films would tackle it differently.
Yeah.
Like in this one, it lost some of the animation lost its sharpness.
Yeah.
It sort of became like more of a softer like.
Yeah.
Not to say that it still wasn't amazing, but like it also like some of the colors started to get mixed up and it was a lot more colorful, less photorealistic, and I love that though. It was just a beautiful dream sequence.
It very much contrasts, the Ghibli films.
Yeah, which are all color.
Yeah.
All color, very sharp animation, like
Yeah.
bubbly, but like you can see the borderlines of every single thing.
Yeah.
Well, this blends.
Yeah, it blends really well.
And that also works in with I was pretty impressed. Like the moment the comet hits,
Yeah,
and it still brings that same quality of animation to the entire city being ripped apart by a comet.
yeah,
That was surprisingly pretty, and it kind of added to the impact of like the oh my god kind of moments.
Yeah.
Where you're just seeing the town fall apart, trees getting thrown into the forest, that kind of stuff. It's like that's really pretty, and it's also terrible.
yeah. Also the bit where, because the thing that got me the most though was, as I was talking about like the red string effect, was the end.
Yeah.
That ending let me. I don't know if I feel satisfied about the ending or not. Really, like
I liked it.
I loved it.
Like, I feel like I wanted that bit more closure because that film just started to get to me, though.
Yeah.
Like, there was an element of me just emotionally wanting more closure.
I'm a big fan
But,
with
like-
a lot of a lot of love stories to have that cold close of just
Yeah.
like that moment of like, you know, the moment they finally meet to just go, that's it.
Yeah.
I like that, but that's
Oh,
just
yeah.
me.
Yeah,
You know,
no,
like
I-
to dwell on it more just kind of loses some of the impact.
Like, because part of me, like, I just wanted to know, because, like, part of me is still like, do they just, like, apologize and be like, no, sorry, and then walk away? Is that what happens next? Do they get
Well,
together?
assuming we're following the Red String of Fate thing, no. That
Okay.
means you get together and you love each other and be together.
Okay.
That's what that implies.
Because that might be, like, a cultural thing that, like, isn't quite, like, as obvious to a Western viewer.
Yeah. It's implied very much that they will be together due to the string.
Yeah.
That's good.
yeah.
But yeah, there was no on-screen kiss. There was no hugging. There was like one moment like where they got somewhat close to each other with some crying, and then immediately Mitsuha jumped back and got angry at you because boobs. But you know,
Yeah.
He judged my boobs.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
the only contact they ever really had in this movie was Taki writing on her hand, and then her starting, and then
like, the phone
fit
stuff.
disappearing. Yeah,
Yeah, but, like, yeah, you're right. The only actual contact was
Yeah.
Taki writing, I love you on your hand, and him.
yeah. The closeness between these people is based on both messaging each other or leaving messages for each other, and whatchamacallit, just being in the other person, being the other person.
they had a crazy emotional bond.
Yeah.
but have never
but it
touched each other.
They'd never had a direct conversation with each other until that moment, like, you know, 3/4 of the way through the movie.
Yeah.
They'd never talked to each other, but they still had this strong connection to each other because they had been the same person for a while.
I kind of like that, though, like, the whole idea that, like, they were just... Because they were the same person, that,
Yeah.
like, they'd never met. Because every time they swap as well, so it's just like... But, like, you get to know them so well because you're living their life.
Yeah, like your only interaction with this person is what they do with you when you're them.
So it could be really positive, like when Tucky builds her friends and them a bench to sit at, so it can be more like a real cafe. And like Mitsuha gets Tucky a date with the Okudera.
Okudera.
Yeah, Okudera. And so like, you know, he's getting like ripped apart by his workmates, being like, "No man, we promised that no one would have a go at her." But like Mitsuha had, just because like she's wanting to be nice, like
Yeah.
she's wanting to like.
No, that's it. She was just trying to be nice.
And I like how Mitsuha's probably more preferred by Okudera than Taki himself is.
Oh yeah, no, that date did not go well because Taki was the one who was there when Mitsuha had put in all the legwork.
Yeah.
What's her name?
Okudera.
Okudera. She's attracted to Mitsuha as Taki. Because she was just better at approaching it. Taki isn't.
I think it's one of those ones where like I think there's also there's got to be an element of attraction to Taki himself though.
Oh yeah, naturally.
It was just like I like the whole thing with the sewing of the dress.
The little embroidery.
Yeah. And it's just
It's
like
better.
It's better. And it's just I think she wears it again.
Yeah, she does.
Yeah, she
it
did.
comes up later in the movie. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just like, oh, I remember that. And it's
Despite starting with the scene of, all right, come with me, now take off your skirt.
yeah.
It's like, oh, geez, this isn't going well.
Because it's the first day that Mitsuha's in Taki's body.
Yeah.
It's actually the second, I believe.
Is it?
But it's the first time she'd ended
First
up
time
at her
we'd
workplace.
seen it in the. It was first time we'd also seen it in the movie.
Yeah.
But just
Oh,
because
yeah.
of the dream, the whole dreaming, and we forget things.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
actually very unknown how many times they had switched.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, like it's the first time we got shown, so
Yeah.
Every time they swapped for like a long time was like the first time they swapped,
Yeah.
like because of the whole dream thing. And before they started leaving notes, it was like what?
Yeah, it didn't matter then.
But then like the whole thing. Yeah, you're right. I like the whole take off your skirt, and she's like, what?
Well.
And then it's like, oh no, I'll turn around.
Oh, wait, right, I'm a guy.
Yeah. And then Mitsuha being like, what's going on with the Yakuza sort of thing?
Oh, that dude.
Oh, right, yeah, there's Yakuza. That's something we don't have in my tiny little town.
That she knows about.
You know what they do have pretty close to their tiny little town, though?
What?
Dude Bro Ramen Guys.
That's
The most amazing person on the planet. Oh, you draw a picture of the place I used to live that's now a smoldering crater? Let me drive you there. Then let me drive you home.
And that let me drive you up a mountain.
Yeah. Like, just
And he made him lunch.
yeah, ramen bride's like ramen dude's like the best bro ever.
I think he gave him the. I think the whole thing was that he gave him the drawing
Probably.
as like a trade.
Yeah,
I would love
that's a
that
good
to be the
gesture.
way. Just
I,
because.
Yeah.
I like to believe that's the case.
Because I think because the ramen dude says something about the drawing and thanks him for it, so I
Yeah,
assume that he gave it to him.
Yeah.
He said it was like a beautiful drawing.
Yeah,
And even then, I can only imagine the emotional response from this guy to see this drawing of the place he used to live in as a kid.
That's the thing. Like, on Taki's first day, it's shown. He notices this picture, like this one photo of Itamori, and it's just he's just like, oh, that's the place, and there's no other notes about it of where this is, but he just goes, that's it, because he hasn't seen this place. Like, he hasn't seen. He's in his life living in Tokyo. He's never seen a photo of this place or any video or any reference to it.
Yeah.
I'm assuming for this, like, this guy in the ramen shop, that to see a picture of it drawn in such good detail is shocking to him.
yeah.
And especially since the place is a smoldering crater now and there aren't any photos.
Yeah.
Like, that's one of the few.
Because the whole thing where we saw it was a thing about nostalgia.
Yeah.
Actually, let's
Nostalgia. 3 years ago.
Do you remember the game we played last week with the whole guess
Guess the Rotten Tomatoes
the
score?
Rotten Tomatoes first score?
Okay.
Jackson's smiling. I think he probably knows what it is. You have a first guess.
I don't actually know the score. I just remember listening to you guys.
Yeah.
But let's see. I'm gonna guess 87.
So Rotten Tomatoes is purely an aggregate of it's
Yeah.
like it's the percentage of people that said fresh.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna say that. Oh, okay. So this is performed really well, and I'm gonna assume that. What you say, 87?
Yep.
I'm gonna say 92.
Carl was closer. It's 97.
Jesus.
You know when you brought it up, I thought like. No, I was thinking like I think 97 popped in my head, and I was like, no way, that's way too high.
Yeah, it's got a tomato meter of 97% and an audience score of 94%.
Damn.
So only like 1 in 20 people don't enjoy it.
It's a good film.
Yeah, it's a really good film, and like
I haven't heard anyone like of the people I've talked to about this so far. No one's really said it was like they didn't enjoy it. Everyone said like, yeah, it's good, it's great, watch it. And I gotta agree. Overall, fantastic.
I got to add one thing that adds to the movie we haven't talked about yet so much is the music.
oh yeah,
It's beautiful.
Like-
Rad Wimps, the band who worked alongside this movie with the production team, making scores just for it the entire way.
One of the bits that got me the most was the bit where I think it's where like you see the comet and Mitsuha's riding the bike, and like the music's playing in the background, and it's just a beautiful shot. The music is beautiful. Everything about it is like so emotional, and it's just perfect.
That song, and then the two others that got me, the opening and the ending music.
Yeah,
And then they had all the little musical interludes in between, and they just added to the feeling of the movie.
yeah. Like there was so much like it's very difficult to like get a sense of emotion across.
Yeah.
Especially in like this sort of way. But it worked. It felt like I was watching a film too. Like it wasn't like I was just watching a music video. It was
Done
like,
well.
because sometimes you get that feeling where like it's just okay, this is just a musical bit. No, but it felt like I was definitely still in the film.
But yeah, my favorite musical moment in this film was even not the climactic one, but I loved the one little musical interlude where they just cut to like a montage of the body swapping moments.
Yeah.
And that just helped characterize the characters so much. We just saw little tidbits that made them who they are.
Like them angrily drawing in their own faces, sort of thing, or like each other's.
Yeah,
This is
so
where
they
the
wake up
the
next
bench
morning,
happens.
just be like, idiot.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and like,
idiot.
like the messages that they leave each other, like, don't spend my money, don't take more shifts. But I need the money.
I need the money because you keep
spending
taking. Yeah. I need to take more shifts, which means you have to work them because you're spending my money.
Yeah, and I just love that. Like, it shows like what people do in each other's body and like how like people react.
Yeah, like that's the thing. If I was from a small town that didn't have a cafe in the anywhere around me for a dozen miles, and then I immediately body swapped into someone who's got a little bit of cash in hand, and they're they live in the big city where they've got cafes all over the place. Heck yeah, I'd spend their money on it.
And like the idea of the fact that like she goes there, looks at the price, and be like, "This is the same thing that I could afford for a month back home."
This cake I'm about to eat, the money it costs for that is how much I spend on a month of living. Like my family uses this to live. And there's also some great shot transitions in there of like holding up the phone to take a picture of the food and then pulling the phone down and it's gone. That's brilliant. Some of those shots during those cafe scenes are amazing with those transitions.
Yeah, like she opens up her phone and it's over, and then she pulls it back and it's gone.
It's so pretty.
And it's so smooth. That's the thing that got me, is like so much of this film is just smooth.
It's clean and it's smooth and it's great. And those are the kind of shots where like I could only dream of getting those in a movie I produce.
Yeah.
Like the kind of camera work that goes into that, and it's animated. That's the crazy thing. So much
frame
you can
by
do.
frame drawing of each step. It's insane.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like any corners were cut on this.
I kind of want to watch it again, but I can't do it for a while because it'll just wreck me again.
Do a revisit it later on.
Hey, you're going to mine for a movie again. Hey, you want to?
No. There's so much crying I can do.
Even I will admit that I did tear up on my first run through. This time I knew what was happening, but it's just, it invokes such an emotional response, this movie.
And like, I don't think like I was saying earlier, there's very few movies that do that.
No.
Not to this extent, for me at least. Like, I found it all like very beautiful and touching.
Nah, I'm a crybaby.
I'm gonna go see what all the things Makoto Shinkai's made.
Yeah.
I would definitely recommend Garden of Words.
Okay.
That's what I've heard is a good one.
Well, next week we've got something a bit less sweet.
Yeah.
So we've got another guest coming on with their choice, which is Starship Troopers. So everyone make sure you give Starship Troopers a watch if you haven't in some time, because this will be an interesting episode.
Yeah, I have a lot of thoughts about Starship Troopers.
So make sure you watch that, and join us next week for more mics, camera, action.